In 2007, the United States faced a financial crisis and the beginnings of a market downturn, the likes of which hadn't been seen since the Great Depression. This Great Recession, as it is now known, was a worldwide phenomenon marked by incredible job loss, thousands of home foreclosures, substantial drops in income levels, and general unhappiness all around. People were hurting, and many no longer had faith in the system. So what really happened? What caused this Great Recession? The simple answer is bad loans. The more complicated answer begins with words like subprime mortgages, mortgage-backed securities, and collateralized debt obligations. If it sounds like it's confusing, that's because it is. In fact, here's my niece on the subject.
What's a collateralized debt obligation?
I don't know. As you can see, these financial tools are meant to be confusing. The more mystery that can be included in the topic, the less people will ask questions, and the more a savvy banker can complicate things, and the more money they'll make. Let's talk about collateralized debt obligations, or CDOs for short. Basically, the idea behind these financial instruments are sound. If you lump a bunch of mortgages together, you'll diversify enough to be able to rate the whole CDO as AA or higher, even if a fair bit of the material backing it up is junk. At the beginning, these CDOs were actually pretty safe. Unfortunately, as time went on, lots of bad mortgages were grouped together with few strong mortgages to back them up. But how did so many bad mortgages happen in the first place? To incentivize low to middle income individuals and families to purchase homes, many lenders gave out loans with no consideration of collateral or the ability for the borrower to pay the interest or principal. You can listen to one perspective from a real estate agent about this.
Been in the business for about 16 years.
All right, so this project's kind of just talking about the 2008-2007 Great Recession and kind of the financial collapse that happened before that. As a realtor, what do you think, how were you affected by the disaster, I guess?
Well, as a realtor myself, of course, my business slowed down, but we were lucky to be in our area. It didn't affect it as bad as other areas.
Okay.
We stayed steady, and the price of homes went down. But it has picked up, and it's doing better.
Okay. So, did you notice any real remarkable change between the financial collapse happened in 2007, and then kind of the fallout happened soon after that? Do you think there was any sort of lasting change between then and now? Do you think it's picked up a good amount, or do you think it's back to normal?
It has picked up a good amount. The restrictions on loans, the lenders, the financial institutions don't lend money as readily as they did prior to that.
Okay.
But it has stabilized.
Okay. Okay.
And the business has picked up. The prices in our area are rising a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Okay. So how do you think it affected you personally? Like, did it affect your career any? How much you were doing?
It did affect my volume of business for that year, but it has rolled on over. It's not really affected it any more since.
Okay, so just that 1 year.
Maybe 1 year out of all of it was slower than the rest.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rose mentions the loans that were freely given before the financial crisis have been limited by financial institutions. We'll return to that in a bit. As the CDOs were becoming popular, large insurance companies discovered that they could sell insurance on people's ownership of parts of the CDOs. They could sell insurance and earn monthly payments, and since the CDOs were supposed to be almost risk-free, they didn't worry about having funds to pay out if insurance holders came calling. And that is where the whole system came falling down. When CDOs began to fail, the insurance companies didn't have money to pay out. Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, AIG, and other large institutions collapsed, and the money disappeared. In order to prevent the total collapse of the United States banking system, the U.S. government decided to bail out some of these institutions at the cost of the taxpayer. In all, $700 billion were spent to save these banks. Let's put that into perspective. $700 billion is $100 per person in the world. $700 billion would supply 2,000 McDonald's apple pies to every single person in the United States. 9 times the budget for education in 2007. All paid for from the taxpayer. You would think that after all this, The government broke up the banks, limited the scope and reach of our financial institutions. But you'd be wrong. Dodd-Frank was passed, but it isn't really enough to prevent a financial crisis from occurring again. Some of the bad loans to people who really can't afford them have been limited, but past that, not much has really been done. In fact, remember those collateralized debt obligations? The ones that were loaded with crap and tipped over the dominoes of the American economy? Yeah, they're back, just under a different name. Bespoke Tranche Opportunities. We'll see what happens.